Shock the system.
And we are live with the one and only Bob Sally, that I can't spell his name correctly. So
After all these years,
about that last night, dude.
everybody does it.
Everybody.
Everybody does it. Sally.
I can't believe I did that. I mean, you were on the show many, many, many times.
And we've known each other for many, many, many years.
Yes,
I almost wasn't going to say anything. I was going to just let it go. I feel like I deserve my name spelled wrong.
Whoa.
Lou, what's wrong with you, man?
What's that?
You should know how to spell that name, man. I could have
Shut
spelled
up.
it.
Viva, hello, darling. How are you?
Hey, everybody.
Yes. Anyway, unfortunately, Jamie Dolan had to cancel at the last minute tonight. She sends her love, more love to Ali because he had to step up to the plate. But before we get to our special guest, Bob Sally, we had
William, thank you.
We had a little bit of we had a challenge drop to us, Ali. You know that. Right,
correct.
here
You
on the
had a challenge.
What's that?
You had a challenge. I am simply the special guest.
Okay, well, on the Earplug Podcast Network, we have a thing going on called Rocktober. Now, a little bit about Rocktober is we got to pick some great rock and roll music and rock and roll bands, and these bands are going to be battling it out all through the Earplug Podcast Network. Now, Jane, we each got to pick our favorite bands. We all know who I'm going to pick. We all know I'm going to pick Kiss. We know that. So, yes, my pick is Kiss. Now, Jamie texted me her pick, so I'm going to pull this up. And let's see.
I have one too.
No,
I have
no,
one too.
No. Wait,
No.
You don't get a pick.
Yes,
Jamie,
I do. Okay,
no,
put Jamie.
Jamie says she wants, and where the hell is it? She picked it. She's Soundgarden. So Jamie wants Soundgarden. I have Kiss, and they put us up against The Mom Struggle Is Real.
I have Guns N' Roses.
But you don't count. The Mom.
Okay, you know what? I'm signing off then.
No. I tell you what, because no, wait, Ali, you do count, because I'm going to tell you what. Being a professional wrestling fan, being a former professional wrestler, winning if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. Being on the Earplug Podcast Network's Faces and Heels podcast, that means I get another shot of picking another band, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give my other pick to you.
Oh,
How about that? Take that, Mom. Struggle is real. Struggle with that. So you are getting the full force of the Angry Geek Show right here on the Earplug Podcast Network.
but
You're not getting
just Lou. On the side note, I do have a soft spot. I mean,
what?
Moms, come on now, man. Moms.
Wait. No soft spot. This is for a trophy. This is for a plaque that's going to go in the play.
Moms rule the world, man. They make the world go round. I don't know about you, but I ain't. Do you carry a bowling ball in your belly for 9 months and then have it go out your?
I do. Yeah.
And have it come out your.
No.
I mean, only one way out.
No, I don't care. I don't care if the mom struggle is real. That could be heard on the Earplug Podcast Network.
Real scary.
No. I'm telling you. I am just telling you right now. Okay.
I'm just saying I will be a part of this, and my band is Guns N' Roses.
Yes. You pick Guns N' Roses. So that's the other one for the Faces and Heels.
I change it.
No, too late. You already said it.
Come on.
No.
And
anyway,
we gotta get to our guest, the one and only Bob Sally, and we got some comments already tonight. Wow. In Ali, look at that. And the owner of the Earplug, the owner of the Earplug Podcast Network. That's right. You didn't see that coming, did you, boss? No. You're looking at this one, and Lewis is playing over here. That's right. 1, 2, 3. Mom struggle is real. Yeah. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. Yeah, that's right. That's the
but
face.
For record, moms,
way.
I am kind of rooting for you. I mean, I respect moms.
Yep.
Moms are awesome. But
anyway.
Welcome to Angrygeeks, everybody. Hey, Bob, how you doing?
I know Lewis well enough that when he gets on, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to let him finish.
Anyway, Bob, I got to tell you, Broken Gargoyles, man, we were talking about this off camera. Dude, the book is friggin' amazing, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Where did it come from?
It actually started. I was writing a one shot with David Hayes, who did Rotten Tail, among other Source Point Press books, and we were working on a alien western type thing. And I wanted to do this one thing with this character, which brought me to researching, Broken Gargoyles. And it didn't fit, obviously, because Broken Gargoyles came out of World War I and not, the Civil War. So, but it was fascinating to me. So I kind of put a pin in it. And then we went on to doing that project. And when I was done, I came back and just did a lot of research. And Broken Gargoyles was a name that these soldiers gave themselves that were facially mutilated. And the more and more research I did, I just felt like there was a story there, where these people came home from war, and it wasn't like today. They really were pushed aside, and they people didn't want to see, that face of war, so to speak. But people were more sensitive to only seeing, the glorification of war and not really, wanting to see the horrors of war. So a lot of these people, they lost their jobs, they lost their families, they turned to suicide and alcoholism. And the more and more I did research on it, I just felt like that there was a story there. And, I talking to Source Point Press and Travis McIntyre, who's the editor-in-chief over there, we really tried to massage it in a way that, would keep the the reality of it, but also bring another element to it in an alt history diesel punk sort of story. And it being a World War I story, and the way, I wasn't actually familiar with, I knew what steampunk was. I knew what cyberpunk was. I've heard of diesel punk, but I didn't know like all the details of it. Like I didn't know that each one fell under a certain time period. So, learning about diesel punk, researching the story in the Broken Gargoyles and World War I, and then researching diesel punk, it was amazing how everything really just started to come together. And I think it's very cliche, but when you talk to artists and writers, when you're working on something and you put all the pieces together and the story starts telling itself, it's a real thing. And it really does it feels amazing when it all starts coming together. So I always equate it to, I'm not a good golfer, but I took golf lessons, and when I was taking the instructor, I had an instructor, and when he was he'd be like, you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to do that, and you got to do that. And at first, learning all the rules of it was really hard to, make it work. But once you started doing it and you hit that beautiful drive that went straight and down the fairway, it just felt amazing. And that's one of the things with writing, that I feel like when you start putting all of the elements that it takes to write something, and you put them together, and you produce something that is just that just hits, it just feels great. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Justin Birch, is that the famous writer Bob?
Justin Birch is the letterer on Broken Gargoyles. And we're an awesome team. I love working with Justin, and it's, we like to rib on each other. So
how do you guys meet?
Sorry, go ahead.
How do you two meet?
Through Source Point Press. He had done some projects for Source Point Press that nobody ever heard of. And, so I figured I would bring him on board and maybe help him get his name out there on some solid work.
Well, what's the difference between working on, say, Broken Gargoyles? Well, first on Salvagers, and then bringing on ogres, and then going to Broken Gargoyles. What's the difference? Granted, Broken Gargoyles, you had to do a lot of research, but you're going from space back to history. What was the big difference? Were you what the hell am I thinking? Or
doing Salvagers, you can pretty much do whatever you want. It's science fiction. You can do whatever you want. You can defy the rules of gravity if you want. But when it comes to then going back and doing something like Broken Gargoyles, it was there was a lot of research. Yes. So is mine, Justin.
And Justin hurts.
What's funny is I was gonna ask Justin if he wanted to be on the show, but I can't stand looking at his face that much.
Justin, we'll have you on that episode, man.
That's how I always tell him. Just keep your avatar up of whatever, anything other than your mug. But
I'm just looking at it right now because, like I said, you're gonna have to forgive me. I got put on last minute, but I was telling you off air that I actually bought this comic earlier, and I was like, oh, hold on, I bought that book. I haven't read it yet, but I bought it, and I'm looking at the artwork. Can you tell me about the artist Stan Yak? Did I say his name right? Yeah,
Stan Yak. He's actually he's from Russia, and he's worked on. He did a book called the first book that I saw that he did was a Garrett Gunn book, and it was I'm gonna forget the name of it. It was Go West, and so that was the first introduction that I had of Garrett Gunn and Stan Yak, and his art just seemed to he's always doing something, and you could tell his art just keeps improving with each project that he works on, and he was somebody I'd been doing 2 short stories with him, and I was actually doing a short story with him when I started the concept and started writing Broken Gargoyles. And so I was talking to him about it, and he just kind of threw some character designs at me, which made it post-apocalyptic. like futuristic. And someday I'll share those with them because they're really good. But I was saying, I'm like, no, we're not going like in the future. We're going in the past. You know, we want to go back World War I. And like, just that's all I had to say. And then he just, you know, came up with these two characters, and you know, we designed them. You know, like he'll do a thing where he'll give me like 8 designs, and it'll be like, you know, kind of like, well, take the jacket from that one, take the mask from that one, and the boots, and we put them together, and it was it just worked. And then his art just kind of felt right for it, you know, like it was
right now.
Dark,
I'm ignoring you. I'm talking and observing his artwork. Artwork beautiful. I mean,
yeah. His art almost had like this this gritty, like almost like this dark Norman Rockwell-esque type
in the comics out, they give you like a teaser of like the city that he drew, and I love how he got illuminating from within the city, and then you go out, you see it like the light kind of dim. So
yeah, he knocked it out of the park. I mean, like, I got a copy right here.
What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, the artwork and the coloring on it, and then again, like Justin Birch's lettering on it. Justin will tell you that
if you want to show them.
Yeah, Bob, bring it
up. And you want to show some of the images.
I mean, I love showing. You know, if you can, I don't know if you'll be able to capture this, but
yeah, go ahead.
You know, the lettering that Justin did for one of the characters, you know, is awesome. And you know, one of the things I said, like, I know Justin probably tell me that this is not what I said, but this is what I thought I said. Was, you know, for this one character, like I always remember like reading Iron Man comics, and his voice when he was in the suit showed different in the lettering. And, you know, so I wanted to do that, but also wanted to keep that Diesel Punk kind of theme with the lettering. So Justin was playing around with it, and he did a great job. But like he'll tell you, like now he's got to do that every time, which, you know, is not a very easy thing to do. So, but he's a Ringo nominated letterer. I mean, he didn't win, but he's nominated, so that's like the same, right?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the art, the lettering, everything fits the story so well. Now, my question is, who put the team together to work on this book? Was it Source Point, or did they give you the caveat to put this team together yourself?
Yeah, I mean, typically Source Point, I mean, they're a creator-owned independent comic book publishing company. So, I mean, they really do look to get a finished product. So they'll help you. I mean, Justin, again, like I met Justin through Source Point Press. You know, Stan, I got him on the project, and he works closely with Robert Nugent, the colorist. So they've worked together before. So as a creator who, you know, you said like, what's the difference between, you know, going from Salvagers to Ogre to Broken Gargoyles? Well, it's a lot of production. And in Ogre, I just had to write the comic, and Sean Daly was the artist, the colorist, and the letterer. So once I wrote it and gave it to him, you know, it went through the editing process. But once Sean had it, you know, it was just sit back and watch Sean work. You know, I didn't have to do like the, you know, get the art, you know, get it to the colorist, or have the artist send it to a colorist and then to a letterer. Like it was just one-stop shop. So in Broken Gargoyle, it was a lot of, you know, I don't want to say team management because they kind of, you know, manage themselves, but it was more production management, like knowing that there was a, you know, we had a deadline, you know, saying like the art had to be done at this certain point and it had to be to the colorist at this certain point. And then usually, you know, as much, I do love you, Justin, if you're still watching, which I'm probably not, but, you know, Justin was always the one where we would give it to him and we'd be like, okay, you have 24 hours to letter this. And, you know, Justin's a good sport.
All right. So Broken Gargoyle, how many issue span is it?
It's going to be 9 issues.
Okay. 9 issues. Why 9? That's kind of an odd number.
Yeah. So you know, I guess if you look at, you know, a 3-act story arc, it's like that, you know, it's like that person just, you know, shouting in your ear. You know, you got the 3-arc. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. If you have that 3-act story arc, you know, you have the 3 issues are Act 1, 3 issues Act 2, 3 issues Act 3. And when I outlined it, it just it was really struggle. It's the first time like that I'm doing something where I wanted it to kind of have a beginning and an ending for each story arc, but they all fit together at the same time. So, nobody's really read. There's only a few people that have read issue 3 yet, but the goal, and with the 3 issues, the first 3 issues was to give everybody what they wanted at the end of that 3rd issue, and feeling like that's it, it's over, but also kind of like that, or is it? And I think we did all right job.
Well, I had the opportunity to read issue 1 early. Thank you. I'm hoping to get issue 2 and 3 early.
Yeah, I should have. I'm sorry. I should have given them to you. It's been a wild weekend.
Well, Bob, I just bought it, and for anyone wondering, this is a very good, great quality book for a very low price. I got it for like $2, I'm not mistaken, off Comixology. So
nice.
Lou, quit your whining, go on your debit card, and buy the book and support creators.
So it's already, the book is already good. Is it going to be? I mean, is it already done?
The first 3 issues are done. Yeah, the first 3 issues are done, and they have been solicited through Diamond. Issue 2, I believe, is going to be coming out Wednesday. So comic shops will probably have it delivered tomorrow, and it'll be in your pull lists, or it'll be on their shelves on Wednesday. So, please go out to your local comic shop. You're not buying those comics. You're not just supporting me. You're supporting independent comics across the board, and you're supporting the shops. And you keep Justin Birch, fed. He has a daughter that needs to eat. So, you got to keep him employed.
Stop having free comics.
Being an independent comic artist, creator, you have you tasted success, okay? Salvage's success, Starlight Tavern success, Ogre's huge success, Broken Gargoyles major success. How does that make you feel?
It's nervous.
It's
not like, and it's great. I mean, I'm loving that, we're putting stuff out there, and like I don't really see it as just me alone doing this. It is the entire team that is deserves this success. But it's just like I remember when we did Ogre, Travis McIntyre said to me, he's like, "You're gonna have a hard time, coming up with something better than that." And you never really want to peak that early. So I think like a lot of times, like when you're thinking about the stories that you want to tell, it needs to be a story that you want to tell, not just something where you're like, well, I'm gonna throw this out there. Like it needs to be something from the heart. And Broken Gargoyles, after doing all the research and everything, it really just felt like it was something that I wanted to tell. And I think that when a writer and a creator and an artist finds something like that, they take better care of it. You're not just going to settle for if you get a page, or if you write a page or anything you do and you feel like, it's not there yet. If you don't care about it, you might say like, well, it's good enough. But if you care about it, you're going to be like, no, I need to go back, and I need to make sure that I'm good with it. I need to know that like that is it. So I think like, taking, I'm still pretty early on in my career in comic book writing. So I want to take care of it. I don't want to, just hand something in. I want the things that I do, I want them to mean something to me, and hopefully, mean something to the people that read them. So it's great that, these books are selling, and I love that, it's, seeing shops like Midtown Comics where they're, limiting the amount of sales to 1 per customer, because, that there's there's the collectors out there that are going to buy them. And that was something that happened with Ogre. Mm-hmm. And, it was amazing because it was the first time it happened to me. But then the reality of it was like, somebody's going out there and they're buying 10 to 20 copies of this, and then they're slabbing them and selling them on eBay for $30. But that's comics that won't be read. So,
Correct.
Knowing that comic shops are limiting that, and like really it's getting out there to people that are reading it, that's really important to me.
Okay, we got some comments going on. First, we have Scarlett. Scarlett says, "Hi, Bob," and we have Jake Deal and Tim Jones both saying hi. And Aviva, Angry Geek super fan, has just said she just asked if they can order it from Holy Moly's, which is an Angry Geeks approved comic shop, to add it to their subscription. So look at that, because her husband, Mark, was intrigued from the first thing that Bob said. Look at that. So Angry Geeks approved LCS, Holy Moly's, you're going to be having Broken Guard.
I appreciate it. And Aviva, if you can't get issue 1, just message me, and this one's yours. I'll even sign it for you, and I'll send it out to you.
Look at that.
Hey, Bob, I want to ask you had a question. Tim Jones want to ask, how much time did you spend on the research?
I spent quite a good amount of time, because I mean it was it was kind of researching America, like the American society and the way everything was after World War I, which was enlightening, because when you think about, most of the times when you think about post World War I, you think about the Roaring 20s and you just think like how great everything was. But in my research, and these are things I didn't even know about, but there was a major decline in American farming or agriculture and farming. A lot of farms went bankrupt and banks bought them, and the reasoning why that was, like, just researching, like, the reason why was because we were feeding the war, and when the war was over, France wanted to get their farming back up. So all of the planning that it went into these farms to feed the world, then it was like, okay, well, we don't need this now from you. And, it was, they took a big hit. And then reading up on like how vets, they took over Central Park in New York City, and it became like a whole city in there for homeless people. And the things that happened in there that were terrible, with police going in there and, firing on them, and all the, the riots that went on in there. So it really kind of like, the more and more I researched it, and going into like this diesel punk aspect of this book, it almost felt like, post World War I almost had that like, wild post-apocalyptic feel to it that we don't really hear about. So I think the amount of research started off small, but it was kind of going down a rabbit hole. So it was like every time I researched one thing, it kind of led to another thing that was even more fascinating than the last. So it was probably like a good month or two that I just kept finding more and more stuff to research and to add to the book to make it more authentic for that time period.
And how much of that
month? I mean, like, I got kids and I got a real job, so like, it might be like a couple, 3 hours on one night, and then no research on it, and then going back to it. But I would come home with like, printing things off at work. Hopefully nobody at work's watching this. I would just I'd find websites and I would just print them all off. And I'd print them with like
low on ink so quickly.
Sorry.
The boss was like, "Why are we running low on ink so quickly?"
Yeah, exactly. Why is he doing this in color?
It's funny that you brought up I want to ask. So how much of that did you input into the book?
You won't get a lot of it from the first story arc, where the first story arc is really just setting the stage, getting to know who the characters are, seeing their conflict, their inner conflict, and their conflict with each other. But in the next story arc, we really get into a lot of that, like the poverty and the homelessness for these vets, and a big part of it is going to be the decline of the farm, the agriculture, and these farmlands that were going bankrupt.
All right, let me ask you a question. The little girl, the little girl
Yeah.
in the circus, reoccurring character. I'm intrigued.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I gotta know. I gotta know. And
Okay, so now I gotta read it.
love, I gotta. I love how the dialogue with her was, and how it was written. You know, the way she was speaking. Absolutely dug it. And what's up with the ringmaster as well? Is he going to be a reoccurring character?
Yeah, for a little bit.
And how do you come?
Oh, we got to talk after the show. We definitely have to talk.
And talking about the research, like circus and carnivals were a big thing, and they exploited a lot of the disfortunate people in America, where they were like, there's no place for me, so joining the circus and being exploited that way, that was a real thing. So actually it was funny because I was doing a signing at Friendly Neighborhood Comics, and Jabo, if you're still listening, Ernest, and I can't remember his last name, something with a K. He and I were actually talking about it when I only had this like in note form. And, he and I were talking about the circus and the carnival. And then that led me to doing research on that. And when I read it, I was like, that's some dark shit that needs to be put in there. So, I thank you, Ernest, for helping me out with that.
All right. Hank says, trying to order 3 of each copy, but it will not let me. Where can I go to order more than one?
So you can go to oxeymedia.com. And if you give me a second, I just want to make sure I get it right. So I'm typing.
And while you're typing, I want to ask Bob, how do you go about like figuring out how you want the dialogue to go about?
So,
Luke, you were talking about the little girl that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you go about that? Basically,
is that a question to me?
Yes.
Yeah, it was to you.
So just a quick, I'm going to answer that. It's oxeymedia.com is where you can buy them online, and that's OXI Media, EYE Media.com. I get back here. So OXEYE MEDIA, Oxeye, like the I media.com.
OXEYE.
Yeah, EYE like I media.
And let's get back to the circus. We have Chandra.
Hello, baby.
She says they would take runaways and unwanted children differently able and treat them horribly, but it was better than what they were, than where they were.
Lou, I got that link.
It gave them a home and it gave them like a place to be. Yeah. So, but it's kind of like rock and a hard place, I guess you could say.
Yeah. All right, and
So talking about the dialogue for each character, it was important to me like that each one got its own voice, and I feel like the characters that are in there, you could take either one, you could take any of them, and this story could be theirs. And that was another part of the story that was important to me, was taking care of that. Like each character, you could write this story like many different ways and have it look through the the point of view of each of these characters, and all of those ways would be equally hard to read it, and seeing the reality that they're going through. So all their voices were really important to me when I was writing it.
All right, Tim Jones, are you normally set up at RICC?
Normally, yes. Yeah.
Now, Bob, when things start settling down, it will be sooner than later. Will you be is it one of the books you hoping to be pumping out at the cons? Like, will you? And so, will all? How many people worked on this book all together? It sounds like there are 4 people. There, you, Justin.
Well, you got so I mean, if you look at the interiors alone in issue 1, I wrote it. You got Staniak did the art. Marco Pagnotta was a colorist, and Robert Nugent was a colorist. So we had 2 colorists on it. Justin Birch came in and did the lettering. I mean, as far as the cover alone, you got Rich Bloom did the logo on that, and then you had. So I don't know if you can see it from the glare, but Rich Bloom did this logo, which is my favorite logo ever. And then you have Raymond Gay did the pencils on the cover. Jeremy Clark did the inks on the cover. And then Juan Fernandez did the colors on this. And then, I mean, you have Josh Warner, who put the production and put it all together so it could go to print.
I have to tell you,
Bob, there's a lot of people.
I had to tell you, Bob, and Lou, you're probably going to laugh at me. Me and Lou usually go back and forth. I'm very more into digital comics, and he's into paper. But looking at that book, I tell you, I'm very envious that I do not have that in my hand to flip through page by page. I mean,
I'm going to give you a copy too. So you send me your information. Aviva is getting a copy, and Ali's getting a copy.
I feel like I'm an Oprah. You're getting a copy.
You're getting a copy, and you're getting a copy.
Everybody's getting a copy.
Ali, the sneak preview copy that I got was digital. Bob sent me a digital copy, so I did not have.
I only had 2. No, I only had 2. I don't have one to give you.
Oh, it's all right.
I want to give
you. It's all right.
One.
I'm not worried about it.
I'll give you. I got a random Spider-Man that I'll give you.
I want to read 2 and 3 before anybody else. That ain't gonna happen. No,
Look, Bob, that is a rare collector item, Spider-Man, that Lou would get in hand and find out later down the line that it worth $100,000.
You're welcome, Aviva. Thank you for enjoying it.
Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So
I know you said that this is 9 issues. It sounds like the book is doing very well. Is there any plan that if not you want to continue the series? Maybe you may want to touch up and go back to a couple of the characters, maybe later down the line.
Possibly. I would definitely, consider doing like little side stories or. Some of the characters are gonna throughout the 9 issues. Some characters are gonna break off and go different ways. So there's definitely a possibility for that.
I mean, I know sometimes people they'll take their characters and they might do another series, but they'll have that character cross over into that series right quick, briefly, and that's something you may like. Something you might.
Yeah, I would even do like a one shot for there's some really cool things coming in this like that. As a writer, when I outlined the whole 9 issues, you're doing the first 3 issues, but I'm like, I can't wait to introduce this character.
you know what? I am not a sports guy at all, right? This is
wrestling.
Wait. I am not. This is how well Bob wrote this book. I am not a sports guy at all. I can care less about professional sports. I don't care. But he makes a reference in that book, and I got it.
I can't believe it. Nobody's got it yet. Nobody's got it yet.
It's Babe Ruth.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I put it in there, and nobody's gotten it.
I got Babe Ruth. Am I right? Is it Babe Ruth?
Oh, well, yes, but there's another one that there's 2. Well, there's the Babe Ruth one.
Babe Ruth one.
Yeah.
I just popped into my head. I'm sitting here listening to Ali going, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, holy crap, I got to tell Bob this.
Yeah.
I was just, when I read
there is the Babe Ruth one, but there's another one that's even it's even more hidden in there. That I think the moment somebody actually sees it and finds it,
Okay.
Like I'll give them like $100 or something. I don't know. I put it in there and I loved it. But nobody's seen it yet. I thought you were going to say that one. All right. But yes,
All
the
right.
Babe Ruth one. Yes. That was
Yeah,
that was a direct.
Cam
Oh,
Newton.
now you got guesses coming. You got Tim said Cam Newton.
Yeah,
No.
not yet.
Not yet. No. Who the hell is
the whole comment line gonna be like filled with paper like
Cam
Peter?
Newton? No, but I got the Babe. I'm like,
Yes.
hey, that's Babe Ruth.
That's Babe Ruth.
All right. So, Ali, what were you saying?
I want to ask Bob. You seem to be very successful at doing independent, but have you ever been thinking about maybe dipping your toe and like to the mainstream?
Oh my God, I would love to. You know, if Marvel or DC is watching right now, like the Punisher, I'm ready. Just I'll take it over. No, I would. I mean, I would love it. I think that growing up reading like Spider-Man and X-Men, God, I would love to take a shot at doing that. And I think for comic book writers, like that's our. When you start doing independent, like you want to, like your dream is to be like, I want to do Marvel and DC. But right now I think like you see people like Jonathan Hickman and Rick Remender, where they started off doing indie and then they go and they do, Marvel or DC projects. And it seems like they always come back to Image and, they're because they want to do their own thing. I've heard stories about, writing for Marvel and DC where it's really difficult because you really don't have a lot of creativity. You have to keep things to the universe, and a lot of hurdles that you got to go through.
Well, now they're doing like the whole box office. Like these are their golden eggs. Now you can't really say, well, I'm gonna have Batman become a cold-blooded serial killer, and
Right.
Nightwing to stop him, and they're gonna be like this. No.
Yeah, well, and like I've heard like that you have to go through a series of editors when you're doing these things, and it's before you even start writing it. Like even when it's in concept form, and you tell them this is what I want to do, it's like you got to go through the whole thing where it's like if somebody was like, I want to bring back Jason Todd, and they're like, whoa, like it's you have to keep everything in that universe. So
I'm hoping DC is loosening up with their black label now. Like, like they're like, well, as long on the black label, we'll let it go, something like that. And I'm hoping Marvel, I know Marvel used to have Max back in the day. Kind of hoping they bring, or Marvel Knight. I'm kind of hoping they bring one of those two back. And so I think, you need to experiment with these characters to keep people interested. I mean, and the cool thing is with you having it looked like you gain a massive following, especially with this new book out. I think you will have followers come follow you wherever comic. Like if it came out right now that hey, Bob Sally is working on Punisher, I can see the following come over there. But then you might also want to when you build your following more thanks to the big two. I can see you drifting
bring
over
back to the independent stuff. Yeah,
independent stuff too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Bob, the complete story, the complete outline for Broken Gargoyles is done. All 9 issues done and in the can, correct?
The outline is, yes.
Okay. What's next? What do you have? Can you give me an Angrygeeks exclusive? Is it a follow-up to Salvagers? Is it another Ogre?
Well, I'm working right now with this woman who lives in England, and her name's Renee, and she is working on the last 2 issues of Salvagers.
The last 2?
I'm sorry. Well, the last 2 to finish. So when I started Salvagers, like anybody that just starts writing comics and doesn't know what they're doing, you come up with a 12-issue story arc, and you paint yourself into a corner, and you hope that you get it done, which most people don't. So I have 2 issues left to finish volume 3, and I lost my artist, and I needed to find a new one. And when you get to a point, you're like, well, I got to find somebody who kind of fits that, because this is like midway through a volume that we're switching artists. So I found Renee, and she's been working on it. We're going to kickstart it. It's going to be like one Kickstarter to get the last 2 issues, and then you'll be able to get, the volumes and all that. But I am looking forward to finishing that. That was my first thing. And I had, I knew where I wanted to go with it. So to not finish it has been like that thing that's just been hanging with me. But, besides that, I'm working on a one-shot that's kind of close to home. It's like a superhero story, but it's not focusing on the superhero aspect of it. Right now, the working title is Father Figure, but it's a story about a C-level superhero who desperately wants to make it into the Justice League, but he has to juggle his real job and his kids and all of this. And not to give too much away, but it's something where I feel like for myself and a lot of people that I know, a lot of creators that I know, where you think to yourself, like, is what I'm doing and the amount of effort that I'm putting into this, is it worth it? Should I do it? And when you think about the people that are around you and the sacrifices that they have to make as well as yourself, so it raises a lot of questions of that. And like we said, like when you write something, you want it to speak to, the audience that you're putting it out there for. And I think like through being in this industry, I think I've met a lot of people that, struggle with imposter syndrome and, people that want to, again, like are doing something that they're passionate about, but, later on in life and are thinking like, is this a silly dream that I'm doing? And, what's more important? So that's a story that I'm actually working on with Bruno Oliveira, who he's done some Amazing Spider-Man, and he did a Venom. So that's like, this is like an artist that has worked on, some of the big stuff that I'm actually going to be working on pages with. I mean, I've worked with Ken Lashley. I had Nick Dragotta do a cover, but that's like cover work. Like this is like interior stuff. So okay. I'm really excited about that. And that's going to be in production later this year, going into 2021.
Okay. Right. And Hank is back, and Hank says, got them ordered issue 1.
Thank you, Hank. Thank
you. Look at
Venom
that.
Is someone say Venom, J-Bo said.
Yeah, of course. J-Bo, a huge Venom fan. Bob, with the Netflix boom, with the Hulu boom, Netflix actually buying all these independent books and putting them on the small screen, say, which one of your creations would be your dream to see?
I mean, I would live? Like Salvagers would be it. Like Salvagers is like, that's, and I've always, like, I think when I did Salvagers, like I was always a big Star Wars fan. I love Star Trek. I love most sci-fi stuff. I love the cartoons, I think like I always like kind of juggle with like, would you want to see it as this like now with Netflix? Well, now with Netflix, like, would you want to see it as like this 8-episode miniseries animated on Netflix? And absolutely, like with that old school like G.I. Joe type art, like that kind of thing, or like even like the trying to think of the name of it. My daughter watches it and I can't even think of the name of it. There's like dragons and shit in it.
I can't think of the name.
It's on Netflix right now, and it's like they got stones and everything. But it's like cool art, that cool like animation style.
Okay.
I would love to see that, So, I think I'd have to pick Salvagers.
Okay. Well, that's your baby. I mean, it's your first thing. Yeah, it's your first.
Yes.
I think Starlight Tavern.
Starlight Tavern, like that's like I would love to see that as like your kind of like your Family Guy comes on like every Thursday night at 8.
Exactly. I mean, that's got to be one of my favorite books. You want to laugh? Just sit back, pick up this book, and you will laugh hysterically because it is one of the most funniest things in the world. You're picking out the references of Star Trek. You're picking out the references of aliens. You're just picking out everything in that book because it's so funny.
And the other thing is too with it's a lot of fun because you're writing a little short. Like it's a little 4-panel, web comic. And when you're watching something and you're like, you think about the ridiculousness of it, and you're like, how can I stick that into the tavern? And so you play around with it. I'm writing it with my longtime childhood friend of mine, Jason Sparich, and Juan Cali out of Bogota, Colombia, I think. He's the artist and he's amazing. And then my good friend Don Mathias, who I think you probably know who Don Mathias is from Peninsals. He's the colorist on it. So again, it's like a team of people like that I really enjoy working with. And I think again, like to come back full circle, like, when you're making comics, it's important to be making them with people that you enjoy working with. And, maybe Justin Birch, you just throw in there because he's not really doing anything anyway. Like watching this, I'm sure.
Justin, he late with like issue 4.
What's that?
You keep messing with Justin, he's gonna come up late with issue 4 on you guys.
Yeah.
From the So Wizard podcast, good friends of the Angry Geeks, Marcellus. Love you, brother. Love you and Joey. You guys rock it out every week. Marcellus says, Dragon Prince. Does that sound familiar?
The Netflix series.
Yeah, Netflix series. That's it. Yep, that's
okay. That's it. And Tim Jones is back with another question. Tim Jones says, Bob, do you find it difficult to meet your deadlines?
Sometimes we've had our scares, we've had our issues, but usually the team rallies around, and that there's a deadline, and people will work like again, as much as I give Justin Birch a hard time, we were late bringing in issue 2, and we're not late bringing it in, but we were like just about to miss our deadline. And, we gave it to him on a Thursday night, and he needed to turn it in Friday night. So he had 24 hours to letter 26 pages, which, I mean, I don't think it has to be that hard. It's just literally putting balloons and then cut and paste words into the balloon. I don't think, he made it see. I feel like he's like Scotty, from Star Trek, where everything is like, it's like, I don't have enough time, but he's like, he knows he's got enough time. But he wants you to think that, this is like so difficult.
Jabo McNeil says, Jabo is back. I love you, brother. Jabo says, I would love to see Salvagers as an animated series in the style like the show The Lower Decks. It would be cool.
I agree.
Yeah. Star Trek. Yeah, I agree. But then again, Tim Wiley's head is big enough as it is. Seeing Tim Wiley animated, Scarlet. Oh, yes, we could see Scarlet animated a bunch of different times. But Tim, I'm not sure. Scarlet, yes. But Tim, I don't know. His head's already big enough. Kidding, brother. I love you to death, but yeah. So let's ask that question. Tim and Scarlett got into your book from a contest. Are you ever going to hold another contest like that for one of your newer creations?
Never again.
Why?
No, I would. You know what? I would love to, but I think it was I don't want to say the failure of that series, but the fact that I started that and I didn't finish it. Tim always gives me a hard time, which I know he's just giving me a hard time, but I really would have loved to finish that, and maybe someday I will. Maybe what I hope is that we can figure some things out and get that series, the Deliverance. It was Salvagers, the Deliverance, and those two. I said, give me your best picture as a Salvager, and the two of them sent them in, and they both were awesome. So I just made them both characters in my book, and I wrote a whole nother series on it. And like most things, when we first start off, it kind of fell apart, but it's not dead in the water yet. Like the script's still there. It's just a matter of, finding the art team and finding the time and resources to do that.
All right. Well, not to beat a dead horse, but would you ever consider bringing salvagers to the Source Point family?
It is with Source Point.
Well, I mean, let it be an ongoing series.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a one shot actually that Stan Yak, the artist on Broken Gargoyles, he did, which David Hayes was the writer on it, and I think Justin actually lettered that one as well. David Hayes and Stan Yak made a one shot Salvagers story, which was awesome. A whole different crew. It was very hard, but it's. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I can't right now. But it is. If you go to Oxide Media and you look for Salvagers, you'll see it in there. And so there's definitely like I mean, I would love to bring on more creators to come up with their own Salvagers story and their own crew and have it kind of fit that Salvagers universe and just kind of like keep building and building a bigger universe.
All right, Bob.
I want to ask: is Broken Gargoyle, is that crowdfunded or that from?
That's just straight Source Point Press. Okay. I didn't want to do anything like where I'm crowdfunding and distributing through Diamond, because I just feel like if you're doing crowdfunding, it should be exclusively done through the crowdfunding. So it's Broken Gargoyles, and even Ogre was the first thing that I did where we really just wanted to see how it did through Previews World and Diamond, and it did well. And then that kind of gave me the confidence to, keep going that route, where in Kickstarters, you can, I think the most I had in Kickstarters was like 400 plus backers, which was awesome. But when you distribute through Diamond, I think Ogre had like 2,500 orders. So that shows you, like, just doing a book exclusively through Diamond and Previews, you really get a further reach for people buying that. And that's the ultimate goal. I'll always say, like, I'm not making comics to make money. I'm doing it because, like, I love to storytell. Like, I love comics. I love the process. So it's not really about putting something out there on Kickstarter and making all this money. And I think most people that tell you that are doing Kickstarters, they're not really doing it for the money, because most of the money that they get has to go to, production, the art, shipping. So you're really doing it because you love it and you want to get it out to readers. So this was a way that I could do it. I could do that at a bigger level, going through Previews and not going through Kickstarter.
Okay.
Bob, earlier you said slab books, scalpers, speculators buying the books, having them slab, having them graded, and that's a book that's never going to be read. Does that break your heart where you see one of your books slabbed and it's not going to be read?
No, not at all. I mean, I love that because they're fans too. So if somebody's buying your book and they're slabbing it, like, that's their thing. Like, that's what they love. And if they feel enough that they want to do that with my book, like, that is awesome. And I love that. Even if they want to buy 10 of them and slab them and then sell them, because then that means 10 other people are going to go on eBay and they're going to buy that because that's what they like. That's what they want. So, I would never sell somebody short on what their thing is. If collecting a book is their thing, then I'm just I'm honored that they wanted to do that with my book. But yeah, I think, like, it's nice to know that you can do that, but you can also have more and more books out there that are being read by those fans, because, it's the story that, I think with the artists, it's like, I want people to see the art. With a writer, you're like, I want people to read the story.
All right, Bob, that's all we got for this week. Why don't you tell our guests tonight?
We gotta have him back, man.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to, and I'd love to bring more members of my team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll bring Ken Perry on next. He's the artist on Shelter.
Whoa. You talking about the Ken Perry that I whooped his ass last year at Rhode Island Comic Con in the blindfolded Batman draw off?
The same.
Bring it.
All right. I'll talk to him and we'll get it back on.
Absolutely. Brain
And I'm gonna read issue 1 tonight. You said issue 2 come out tomorrow.
It'll probably be available on Wednesday.
Okay, well I'll get it Wednesday. I'll read both back to back.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And then if you can give me Aviva's address offline, I want to send her the signed book. And Ali, same thing with you. Give me your address, and I'll send you the signed book. I don't keep any of my stuff. I'd rather give it away.
All right, Bob, tell everybody where they can find you on social media. And yes, Chandra, you were there for that.
And Bob, please tell
everybody where they can find you on social media. Oh, sound fake. This is a little bit delay.
Sorry,
Chandra, tell everyone they can find you on social media.
You can find me at at Bob_Sally. If you find me on usually Facebook, Instagram, I am Bob_Sally Comics, I think, and Twitter, I think it's Bob_Sally. So you can find me there. I'm just talking nonsense.
They get your comic books. I mean, are they all on like? I know they could probably order it at comics.
Yeah, all of my comics. If you go to Oxide Media, you can search Bob Sally, and all of my books will show up. And I encourage you to buy every single one of them.
Now I got one on Comixology. Or if I type your name in, will I be able to get all yours?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if I haven't looked on Comixology, but I mean they should be. I think.
Like I said, I was really surprised. I saw Broken Gargoyle like this. I heard about this book. I have to get it.
The Broken Gargoyles is on there. I would think like that Ogre and Ogres would be on there and Salvagers as well. I'm not sure about Shelter Division though.
Well, I'm going to find out.
Well, Ali finds out. I am Lewis Perry. You can find me every week right here on the Earplug Podcast, the Angry Geek Show, with that Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan, and this cat, the one and only Shaft himself, Ali Montgomery. You can find me every Tuesday night on the Faces and Heels Podcast with Ink Slinging Jack Purcell, and every Friday on Today with DW. We'll see you next week.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation, found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
Where'd you go?
I'm here. How was your week?
That was good.
Oh, Bob's out.
Oh, where the hell did you go?